Welcome, everybody. Thank y'all for coming out this evening. My name is Una Zbitkovskis, and we've been doing this for, I think, now 8 years. And so to still have people coming and participating and enjoying this time is really lovely. This evening, we're going to do some extra things. So along with the fall read, you'll notice that we have the altars around. Please take time during the break or after to take time to look at them. Really pay attention to the time that was spent. We also have the murder dioramas done by Ramey Prince's class. And then we are partnering this year with the NSU Cares Fine and Graphic Arts and Watson Library for the Thousand Crane Project. And so I'm going to give you just a little bit of history behind that. The crane has long been a symbol in Asian cultures representing good health, longevity, truth, and fidelity. There is an ancient Japanese legend that promises that anyone who folds 1,000 origami cranes will be granted a wish by a crane. Some stories believe that you are granted eternal good luck instead of just one wish, such as long life or recovery from illness or injury. This year, NSU Cares, Fine and Graphic Arts, and Watson Library have partnered to fold 1,000 cranes for mental health awareness and in honor of Suicide Prevention Month. They have been hanging throughout the month of October, and many faculty and students participated in the actual folding of the cranes. They have generously partnered with the English, Foreign Language, and Cultural Studies Department and our fall read, and we will be participating at our midpoint break in the burning of the cranes right outside in the courtyard. You're encouraged to step outside, participate. Also, you can fold a crane of your own if you would like to burn it in the fire or keep it for yourself. We have paper and directions right around the corner. Please reconvene afterwards for the remainder of the read and refreshments. And again, we thank you for being here. So I'm going to start things off. And I'm a little flustered today. Can y'all tell? I'm a little off my game. So let's see if I can read. This first one is original poem out of my first book of poetry for children. And it's called Livest Trad. And it's basically the tree of life. I want to plant a tree of life, said the little tow-haired boy, to watch it grow and spread its roots and spring forth life anew. But since we humans are all around, I want my tree to be for all the magical creatures that we never see. I want to bring them back from wherever they have gone. I want to feel the magic in the air like when the earth was young. I will plant this ash tree in the ground and feed it from my mind, enchantment bursting forth from each new sprig I find. So in the yard of a little boy whose flag boasts blue and yellow, you'll find a tree that buds with sanguine possibility. Each new life a promise, each strong branch a gift, a child's simple wish to one day find a world filled with magic through his tree of life. And then, because no night would be complete without a little Leonard Cohen, I'm going to read from that. And this is, Hey, That's No Way to Say Goodbye, which I think goes in the spirit with this evening. I loved you in the morning, our kisses deep and warm, your hair upon the pillow like a sleepy golden storm. Yes, many loved before us. I know that we are not new. In city and in forest, they smiled like me and you. But now it's come to distances, and both of us must try. Your eyes are soft with sorrow. Hey, that's no way to say goodbye. I'm not looking for another as I wander in my time. Walk with me to the corner. Our steps will always rhyme. You know my love goes with you as your love stays with me. It's just the way it changes, like the shoreline and the sea. But let's not talk of love or change and things we can't untie. Your eyes are soft with sorrow. Hey, that's no way to say goodbye. I loved you in the morning, our kisses deep and warm, your hair upon the pillow like a sleepy golden storm. Yes, many loved before us. I know that we are not new. In city and in forest, they smiled like me and you. But let's not talk of love or chains and things we can't untie. Your eyes are soft with sorrow. Hey, that's no way to say goodbye. Again, I appreciate y'all being with us. Please enjoy.
Hi there, I'm Lisa Abney, and this is just a little short fragment. It's going to be something longer eventually. So this is called The Visitation. Him. You know Visitation starts at 4:30. Her. Yeah, I know that. Why on earth do you want to go so early? There'll be a huge line. It'll be better to wait until it's closer to the end. It goes until 7, so I think we should go about 6:20. Him. I like to get there early, sign the book, and duck right out. Her. You won't slip out. You won't slip right out, I'm telling you. The line will be long. We'll get caught there. It'll be 3 hours instead of 20 minutes. Him. I don't know why you think that. Her. Because I've done this before and I have eyes and good sense. Him. Well, I go all the time. It's easy. You just slip in, sign the book, get out. Her. Why would you even go if you aren't going to visit? It's called visitation for a reason. If you don't want to visit, we should just go to the funeral. Him. I'm not going to tie. I'm not tying up a whole day for the funeral. I'm going hunting tomorrow. Her. Well, then do what I say and go at 6:20, pay your respects, and then you can drive through the Dixie King and get your burger and go home. You ain't cooking? Her. Not tonight. We have visitation and a freezer full of food, but I know you'll want a burger. Him. He thought to himself, yeah, I will want a burger. How'd she know that? He pondered. He never really thought about what she knew about him. That made him think about her and what he knew about her. Him. You don't want to cook. You're kind of lazy that way. He winked at her and hoped that she wouldn't yell at him for saying it. Her. I'm not going to talk to you right now. I have stuff to do. Go wash the grime off yourself so we can go to visitation at 6:20. Yes, dear, he said with a sarcastic tone. At 6:20, just as directed, they drove to the funeral home. She reached over and smoothed his hair in the back, and he picked a few stray dog hairs from her shirt, and in they went. Only one person was ahead of them signing the book. He glanced behind him and said, yeah, we hit this about right. My buddy texted me. That line earlier was bad, 3 hours. She nodded in agreement to their fellow mourner. A few seconds later, she flashed her husband a victorious, I told you so look, and he uttered, I want to sign my own name in that book. Don't go Mr. and Mrs. in it. She shot him a look that screamed, fine. She signed her name, and he lagged behind her as she strode in breezily. In fewer than 20 minutes, they were out, walking to the truck. He knew that he was going to have to listen to her gloat about how her way was the best way, all the way to the Dixie King. And then it hit him. He turned to her. Well, that was sure quick. I am glad you talked me into doing that. I believe you were right. She didn't see it coming. Her smug demeanor collapsed when she heard him say she was right, and deflated, she uttered, sometimes I'm right.
I'm Christine Farrell. I teach French and Spanish. The first poem I'm going to read is from Pablo Neruda, and it goes with the fall theme about nature cycle and reflecting on life cycle. It's called Estación Inmóvil. Quiero no saber ni soñar. ¿Quién puede enseñarme a no ser, a vivir sin seguir viviendo? ¿Cómo continúa el agua? ¿Cuál es el cielo de las piedras? Inmóvil hasta que detengan las migraciones su apogeo y luego vuelen con sus flechas hacia el archipiélago frío. Inmóvil, con secreta vida como una ciudad subterránea, para que resbalen los días como gotas inabarcables. Nada se gasta ni se muere hasta nuestra resurrección, hasta regresar con los pasos de la primavera enterrada, de lo que yacía perdido, inacabablemente inmóvil, y que ahora sube desde no ser a ser una rama florida. And for my French reading, I decided to go a little lighter with, his name is Kirby Jambon, and just his last name already says that it's going to be lighter. The first one is called French Kiss, and I love it because it's a play with words. French Kiss, un mélange de deux langues. Mes deux langues, mes deux langues, mes deux codes, mes deux cultures, mais un de moins, de bouche à l'oreille. Écoute ce que je dis, plus que comment je le dis. Et ouais, ça se dit. Standard English, Standard French, Standards. Souvent, je peux pas les stand. remplace le melting pot avec une bombe de gumbo, avec du filet et du houma, avec du févi et du bantou, avec un français bien roux. On les goûte tous, mais différents, mais meilleurs. Ouais, ça bouille, mais déborde pas. Ouais, on bouille, mais on brûle pas. Pas comme le melting pot, where the scum rises to the top and those on the bottom get burnt. Embrasse la diversité, vive la différence, embrasse la famille et le voisin, mais il ne faut pas oublier d'embrasser l'étranger. Embrasse-les with the whole mouth, tout ouvert with the whole heart. Dread dessus les babines, embrasse les bouches, embrasse les langues, les miennes, les tiennes, les vôtres, les nôtres, et n'aie pas peur d'embrasser les leurs. And then the last one, I chose it because it's about writing and teaching. Écrire et enseigner, that's a wrap si tu veux. On me dit qu'il faut que j'écrive, on me dit souvent, on me dit tout le temps, écris. D'abord, il me faut un plan, m'organiser graphiquement, penser avant d'agir, écrire avant d'écrire. Au sujet du sujet, on m'exige de rester avec, contrôler le sujet, mon écrit, contrôler mon sujet, mon petit Kobe, contrôler l'idée centrale, l'élaboration, l'organisation et l'unité. Allons peindre, mon cochon d'Inde. Ton pinceau, tes mots, et il faut qu'il soit créatif, actif et vif. Plan devient brouillon, et avec la rédaction, un chef-d'œuvre. Oh non, j'ai oublié voix et personnalité. Il faut montrer, dire ce n'est pas assez. Mon imagination crée des images à une façon où mes paroles coulent d'idées, à l'idée dans l'idée, du lecteur ou de l'écouteur. Le robinet est ouvert. Les chutes chutent, avec créativité, complexité et sens d'humour, variété en structure et en phrase, coule avec subtilité et emphase. Coule, coule, coule au bout. Mais guette-toi, on ne veut pas que ça saigne hors sujet. Oui, mon pauvre petit sujet contrôlé. Constance, consistance, du thème au détail, des techniques au vocabulaire. Et pour la grammaire, l'orthographe, la ponctuation et l'accord. D'accord, il ne faut pas qu'on empêche la communication.
I'm Anna Murkison, and I didn't print my thing, so it's going to be on my phone. This is about losing someone and how that's sometimes yourself. The first time I read this aloud, I opened a floodgate that I thought had run dry. The second time, I was fueled by a passion to impress and a rage I thought had buried. This will be the third time. When I was little, death was a secret thing. It came in hushed voices and almost inconvenient sighs. It was a quiet thing, unknown to me. Death was just an ending credit after a movie, and as far as I was concerned, we had a rewind button. I often imagined not death, but what would come afterwards. I never saw an end. The afterwards was always a vast and unending garden, and everything was reminiscent of the sky. My infinity garden was covered in images inspired by life, but nothing looked alive. Everything was a blinding and suffocating white. In this garden stood a table that was always a little too tall. I'd have to climb up into the chair beside it, which was never close enough, and on top of that table was a bowl of fruit, providing the only source of color in this garden, and I would sit there, waiting for something in this afterwards that I was taught to love from such a young age, and I think, no, I know I hated it. When I was an adolescent, death was a loud thing. It came in fearsome, tear-streaked fights and devastated roars. It was an earth-shaking and world-ending event. I often dreamed not of death, but those that experienced it. This time I was placed in a boat, stranded in the middle of a lake. The shore was always so far away, and I was always so tired of the same boat. It was always full. It was huge with people everywhere. They were happy and content with this boat. Why were they happy? I wonder the boat, full of people that I should have known, faces I should have recognized, and I didn't, and I don't think I cared. Maybe no one talked to me, or rather, no one wanted to. Maybe it's because I was the only person that was furious. I stormed through the boat each time looking for the same person. And I found him every time. He liked to appear in different places, but I always knew where to look. He would turn to me every single time and smile. Why did he get to smile? He would beckon me over, and I was never quick enough. I'm still not quick enough. I was forced to visit this dream over and over and over. This dream that I can't escape. And I want to hate it, but I can't. I'm now what I would loosely and hesitantly consider an adult. And death is a familiar thing. It's constant. Isn't that so boring? Isn't that so enraging? Isn't that so heartbreaking? I've felt and known and defined death in so many ways. But death doesn't define me. Not anymore.
I've just got two poems. Both of them come from a piece that I recently finished dealing with the persona of Andre the Giant in this Gilgamesh-esque quest to find himself. Now, please tell me you all know who Andre the Giant is. Okay, all right. I haven't wasted my life. All right. The first one deals with Odysseus, but it's part of the same work. Beware of heroes. A man once sailed for 20 years on a quest to return home to his wife, stopped only for a few years to lust after a woman who turned his friends into pigs. Every morning as she fed them acorns, he would watch, try to remember names as the pigs rolled their eyes and ate at his feet. One evening, as the man and woman ate pork chops, he drank too much wine and called her by his wife's name. In the morning, his things were packed for him, she turned his friends back into men, and she sent him off with a kiss, her permission to tell the world whatever he wanted, whenever he returned. And this next one is one of the more formative moments for Andre. Andre becomes a wrestler. By chance, Andre happens to walk past the wrestling school, returning home from the store after procuring razors and cat food. As he walks up the street, he finds himself peering through the window, watching men bounce from one side of the ring to the other against the ropes, lifting each other into the air, moving together like the lines of a painting as they crash down through the mat to the cheers and shouts from their peers. Andre sees a few heads turn his way from the side of the ring, and then a few more. Mouths mime words at him through the glass mid-suplex, and one man even points. Andre turns to go, ashamed of himself for staring, but as he walks by the front door, a man runs out to him, stops him on the sidewalk, and asks to shake his hand. Andre is just the man they are looking for, he says. They can make him famous. They'd been waiting for him all their lives. He said they needed him. Andre arches a cynical brow, asks if there's a catch, and the man simply, honestly, tells him that everyone in the world will know him and who he is. He decides it's a bill worth paying, goes inside with the man to meet the others. He sets down the bag of razors and cat food to put on the clothes they give him, and quickly masters the art of grabbing a man by the neck, smashing him into the mat with such force that those watching are sure he should be dead, if they could find him beneath the massive palm Andre splays out across his chest for a 3 count and a congratulatory smile after a win. Sometimes they go out for drinks afterwards. He likes the way these friends group around him, how they listen to him about the winter of his childhood. He likes hearing about their lives when they look to him to be the one to quietly add an opinion to life events he is only made privy to through trust. As days become months and Andre's exploits in the ring make it on TV, he finds he is familiar to the faces he wanders past on his way to the grocery store. And one day, as he stands at the register, head bowed under the lighting, waiting for the macaroni to be sacked, he is almost moved to tears when the bagger looks up at him, says that he had seen him on TV, that he is his favorite, that he hopes Andre will one day be a champion. Later that evening, as he eats his dinner across from the cat, he realizes that when he is in the ring, he possesses the power to make men fly.
Hello everyone, my name is Nick. I'm an English major here at NSU, and today I'm going to read two poems that I've written myself. The first one is called Neptune, and the second is called You Beneath Me. Neptune. When the beams of ancient suns reflect themselves across the waves, I can see his face. Though he mines my ocean eyes for gold, I find myself glaring up at him while he calls upon tidal waves to rip apart my precious soul from limb to limb, something this oceanic body of love cannot uphold. When he becomes too much for me, his salacious amphitrite, I close my eyes and escape inside my own mind, to run alongside where the water meets the shore, because he can't take me there anymore. Much like his father, Saturn of sky, when he can't reach me, he gets angry. Much like all men, he gets angry about the things he cannot understand, because he cannot die. So he sits upon the shore, and we repeat the same cycle over and over until the water dries up, and I can't swim anymore. So here and now we begin our descent, our downfall, when I look into his ocean eyes and realize he never loved me, not once, not at all. And if he spends the rest of his life waiting for me to return, he'll be counting down every second of every hour for an eternity, but he'll never find my secret sea. His children and his children's children will know of me, an epic love broken in lust, sifted through the sand and dust from what once was. I suffered mistrust I found inside of me, no longer such a happenstance, but more of a lost circumstance I found when I stumbled upon the precocious grace of some long-lost, forgotten place, my secret sea. He'll be counting down every second of every hour for an eternity, but he'll never find my secret sea. What once was lost he found in me. He never found my secret sea. And that was the first. And this one is the second one. It's called You Beneath Me. And I just finished this one this afternoon, so it's still kind of rusty, but we'll see how it goes. This is You Beneath Me. I have temptations, the origins of which are sinister, but I don't need a minister. I need a woman or a man who's not afraid of who I am or what I need to be to complete myself, who understands the urge inside of me that makes me weak in the knees, the need to come into my own, breaking wishbones just to breathe. I don't need a reprieve, just you beneath me. I'm seaweed. Pull on me and I'll get you so high that you can scale the side of the mountains you've been wanting to climb. It's part of my fantasy, just you beneath me. Let's feel the motion of the ocean and ride the tide. If this is what excites you, don't try to hide. Just feel the ocean breeze of you beneath me. I'll take you to my secret sea, you beneath me. I'll take you to my secret sea with you beneath me. Do you like ink, how it's impressed upon the breaking skin? Give me your heart, your mind, your soul, and I'll find your fins. Do you like the sting, the way it feels to be all you've ever wanted when you look inside of me? Do you have any plans, my place or yours? I'll take you to the ocean floor and give you something to explore. Do you have any plans, your place or mine? This pleasure treasure is so fine, and it's all that's on my mind. I can't deny it. I've spent all this time peering in through the looking glass to find what you've been hiding from. I know your past is full of skeletons, but if that's the case, then I'm a bone collector. And I feed on bone marrow, so I'll suck your nectar. And if you need me to stop, then I'll stop for a minute. And when you want me to go, I'll get right back in it. I'll take you to my secret sea, you beneath me. I'll take you to my secret sea with you beneath me. When the lights go out and it's the end of the day, a string of seahorses couldn't keep my love at bay. Laying in my own seabed, thoughts of you swimming through my head, like when you look in my eyes just the right way. Any semblance of dread can self-immolate or drown itself hopelessly. I don't need a reason, and it's not a treason to want you beneath me. Love me. That's right. Love me. Want what's right. Want me. I'll take you to my secret sea with you beneath me. With you beneath me, I'll take you to my secret sea. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. You're going to be on this side? All right. Sure. I'm Dr. Thomas Reynolds, Associate Professor of English, and this is Dr. John Krogan, Associate Professor of Communication. Krogan issued a challenge for a spam haiku duel, and I jumped at the opportunity, obviously. We are longtime fans of the Spam Coup. It's short, syllabically restricted homages to that great canned meat. So while we have adhered to the 17-syllable expectation of the haiku form, our poems are perhaps better classified as zapai, or miscellaneous doggerel, as we have often abandoned the juxtaposition of the natural image, cutting image, in favor of fun. You will hear found poetry, influences from Basho to Monty Python to Roald Dahl to Dr. Seuss and even the Bible. So, without further ado, I give you our Spam Coup. Number 1. A little nonsense now and then is relished by the wisest men. Spam!
I do not like spam, Sam I am. I do not like green eggs and pink spam.
It's boy blue, pink girl. Pop the blue can open pink. Spam for us all.
Wife said, no spam, dear, but I went out and bought a ton. Wife gone. Spam for me.
Canned Adam in blue. From him, pink spam Eve comes forth. The downfall of Ham.
Promised I'd clean house. Wife said, boss spam if you're done. Sad. No spam for me.
Gelatinous meat. Fry one side, then the other. Crispy morning treat.
Is it pork or rat? Our only food inspectors know, but they aren't telling.
Oops. Bump the table. Muscle moves. Quivering still. Spam on a white plate.
Tempting pork morsel. Homogeneous mass of pork. A small blue coffin.
Meat and potato. Starch binds it all together. All American meal.
Hawaiian pizza. Brussels sprouts with ham. With spam, sorry. Dessert. Spam-filled fried donuts.
Louisiana night. Crack open a can of spam. Hawaiian vacay.
From whence hast this come? Shakespearean comedy or scary pork bit?
If I were canned spam, would you eat me all at once? Or savor each piece?
Monty Python song or pink gelatinous cube? Not much fun to eat.
Halloween candy. Bloated belly needs a break. Diet plan. Spam light.
2 liters of soda, a heart attack you will have. Spam lessens the weight.
Spam, 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 spam. Junk mail filter sucks.
Cockroaches and ants. Nuclear apocalypse. Must fight bugs for spam.
Thank you.
I'm Frank Serio. I teach in the math department. When Una told me the theme for the read, I think I just heard the word spirit, so I'm not promising this is going to be all that lifting. In the spring, I went on at great length about how The Wasteland is my favorite poem. The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot. I assume some of you are familiar with it. So I thought I would read another excerpt. This is the last stanza of the first part, which is entitled Burial of the Dead. And the microphone is in my right where I need to be. There we go. Unreal city. Under the brown fog of a winter dawn, a crowd flowed over London Bridge. So many. I had not thought death had undone so many. Sighs, short and infrequent, were exhaled, and each man fixed his eyes before his feet, flowed up the hill and down King William Street, to where St. Mary Woolnoth kept the hours with a dead sound on the final stroke of 9. There I saw one I knew and stopped him, crying, Stetson, you who were with me in the ships at my lie, that corpse you planted last year in your garden, has it begun to sprout? Will it bloom this year? Or has the sudden frost disturbed its bed? Oh, keep the dog far hence, that friend to men, or with his nails he'll dig it up again. You, Hypocrite lecteur, mon semblable, mon frère. In 1975, when I started what we then called junior high, I had English with Mrs. Whittington, and she seemed very old. Not in that sense that anyone who's old enough to have a mortgage seems very old to a 13-year-old, but she was old even for a teacher. And she was kind of old-fashioned, and one of the things that she had us do was memorize pieces of poetry and recite them in front of the class. So all those many years ago, I learned this poem, and when I thought about doing it for this, I briefly toyed with the idea of rememorizing it. And although I still do remember big snippets of it, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to read for you Little Orphaned Annie by James Whitcomb Riley. Little orphaned Annies come to our house to stay and wash the cups and saucers up and brush the crumbs away and shoo the chickens off the porch and dust the hearth and sweep and make the fire and bake the bread and earn her board and keep. And all us other children, when supper things is done, we set around the kitchen fire and has the mostest fun a-listening to the witch tales that Annie tells about, and the goblins, they'll get you if you don't watch out. Once there was a little boy who wouldn't say his prayers, and when he went to bed at night, away upstairs, his mammy heard him holler, and his daddy heard him bawl, and when they turned the kivers down, he wasn't there at all, and they seeked him in the rafter room, and cubbyhole and press, and seeked him up the chimbley flue, and everywheres, I guess, but all they ever found was this, 'tis pants and roundabout, and the goblins'll get you if you don't watch out. And one time a little girl would always laugh and grin and make fun of everyone and all her blood and kin. And once when there was company and old folks was there, she mocked 'em and shocked 'em and said she didn't care. And this till she kicked her heels and turned to run and hide. There was two big black things a-standing by her side, and they snatched her through the ceiling, for she knowed what she's about. And the goblins'll get you if you don't watch out. And little orphan Annie says, when the blaze is blue, and the lampwick sputters, and the wind goes woo, and you hear the crickets quit, and the moon is gray, and the lightning bugs in the dew are all squinched away, you better mind your parents, and your teachers fond and dear, and cherish them that loves you, and dry the orphan's tear, and help the poor and needy ones that clusters all about, or the goblins'll get you if you don't watch out.
Hello, everybody. I am Tristan Walden, and this is a short story that I wrote called Don't Wander Off. A little boy follows behind his mom and dad in the supermarket. He's happy that he doesn't have to ride in the buggy anymore and helps his parents grab the groceries. If he's good, he'll even get something that he wants. There's only one rule his parents gave him. Don't wander off, they said. The boy would never do this, he thought. He doesn't like strangers or new people and loves sticking close to mom anyway. Plus, it's great to get candy when you're in the checkout line. When they arrived at the store, the parents told the boy, like they always tell him, don't wander off. But as they walked down the aisles, the boy saw his friend, a girl in his kindergarten class. He waved to her, and she waved back. The boy was excited to see his friend, so excited, in fact, that he didn't notice that his parents had walked off without him. The boy, now distraught, ran out of the aisle looking frantically for his parents. Tears began to well up in his eyes, and he started crying loudly when his friend's mother came up to him. They are in the next aisle, sweetie. Don't cry, she said. The friend's mother pointed him back towards his parents, who he ran to, squealing with delight. The parents were confused, but his friend's mom explained that he got distracted and he didn't see them move to the next aisle. The boy looked up to his parents and said, don't wander off.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cayman Watson, and I'm going to read two poems that I wrote myself. Also, I wrote these before I knew the theme, so I can't promise how lifting they'll be. Once you stop looking, things fall into place. But do they, though? Do all of a sudden become beautiful and wanted when life, or am I just left to sit and rot in emotional turmoil while life falls into place around me? Who does it fall into place for? Because it seems things have fell into place for everyone but me. Am I the one the universe forgot, or is she just taking her time? How many times do I have to feel like this until things just fall into place? Okay. And then the second one is called An Experience I've Never Had. I've never had someone's warm embrace, a feeling of love that burns only for you, a heart that beats in tune with my own. Eyes that are filled with hope when we look at one another, a brain that is only filled with thoughts of us, hands that fit together like a puzzle piece, fingers that run through my hair and dance along my skin. It is something one can hope for.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Ruth Mayer. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm the last one before intermission, so I'm going to be extra long. What I'm reading for you today are excerpts from the voiceover from the film Sans Soleil, or Sunless, by Chris Marker. And the voiceover is written as a series of letters. He wrote to me that in the suburbs of Tokyo, there's a temple consecrated to cats. I wish I could convey to you the simplicity, the lack of affectation of this couple who had come to place an inscribed wooden slat in the cat cemetery so their cat Tora would be protected. No, she wasn't dead, only run away. But on the day of her death, no one would know how to pray for her, how to intercede with death so that he would call her by her right name. So they had come there, both of them, under the rain, to perform the rite that would repair the web of time where it had been broken. He wrote me, I will have spent my life trying to understand the function of remembering, which is not the opposite of forgetting, but rather its lining. We do not remember, we rewrite memory much as history is rewritten. How can one remember thirst? He spoke to me of Sei Shonagon, a lady-in-waiting to Princess Sadako at the beginning of the 11th century in the Heian period. Do we ever know where history is really made? Rulers ruled and used complicated strategies to fight one another. Real power was in the hands of a family of hereditary regents. The emperor's court had become nothing more than a place of intrigues and intellectual games. But by learning to draw a sort of melancholy comfort from the contemplation of the tiniest things, this small group of idlers left a mark on Japanese sensibility much deeper than the mediocre thunderings of the politicians. Shonagon had a passion for lists, the list of elegant things, distressing things, or even of things not worth doing. One day she got the idea of drawing up a list of things that quicken the heart. Not a bad criterion, I realize, when I'm filming. He wrote me, coming back through the Chiba coast, I thought of Shonagon's list of all those signs that one has only to name to quicken the heart, just name. To us, a sun is not quite a sun unless it's radiant, and a spring not quite a spring unless it is limpid. Here, to place adjectives would be so rude as leaving price tags on purchases. Japanese poetry never modifies. There's a way of saying boat, rock, mist, frog, crow, hail, heron, chrysanthemum that includes them all. Newspapers have been filled recently with the story of a man from Nagoya. The woman he loved died last year, and he drowned himself in work, Japanese style, like a madman. It seems he even made an important discovery in electronics. And then, in the month of May, he killed himself. They say he could not stand hearing the word spring. I'm writing you all this from another world, a world of appearances. In a way, the two worlds communicate with each other. Memory is to one what history is to the other, an impossibility. Legends are born out of the need to decipher the indecipherable. Memories must make do with their delirium, with their drift. A moment stopped would burn like a frame of film blocked before the furnace of the projector. Madness protects, as fever does. Did I write you that there are emos in the Ile-de-France? And when all the celebrations are over, it remains only to pick up all the ornaments, all the accessories of the celebration, and by burning them, make a celebration. This is Dandoyaki, a Shinto blessing of the debris that have a right to immortality, like the dolls at Ueno, the last state before their disappearance of the poignancy of things. Daruma, the one-eyed spirit, reigns supreme at the summit of the bonfire. Abandonment must be a feast. Laceration must be a feast. And the farewell to all that one has lost, broken, used, must be ennobled by a ceremony. It's Japan that could fulfill the wish of that French writer who wanted divorce to be made a sacrament. The only baffling part of this ritual was the circle of children striking the ground with their long poles. I only got one explanation, a singular one, although for me it might take the form of a small, intimate service. It was to chase away the moles. And that's where my 3 children of Iceland came and grafted themselves in. I picked up the whole shot again, adding the somewhat hazy end, the frame trembling under the force of the wind beating us down on the cliff, everything I had cut in order to tidy up. And that said better than all the rest what I saw in that moment, why I held it at arm's length, at zoom's length, until its last 24th of a second. The city of Haiku spread out below us. And when, 5 years later, my friend Harun Tazieff sent me the film he had just shot in the same place, I lacked only the name to learn that nature performs its own Dondoyaki. The island's volcano had awakened. I looked at those pictures, and it was as if the entire year of 1965 had just been covered with ashes. So it sufficed to wait, and the planet itself staged the working of time. I saw what had been my window again. I saw emerge familiar roofs and balconies, the landmarks of the walks I took through the town every day, down to the cliff where I had met the children. The cat with white socks that Harun had been considerate enough to film for me naturally found its place. And I thought, of all the prayers to time that had studded this trip, the kindness was the one spoken by the woman of Goto-Guji, who said simply to her cat Tora, "Cat, wherever you are, peace be with you." When spring came, when every crow announced its arrival by raising its cry half a tone, I took the green train of the Yamanori line and got off at Tokyo Station near the central post office. Even if the street was empty, I waited at the red light, Japanese style, so as to leave space for the spirits of broken cars. Even if I was expecting no letter, I stopped at the general delivery window, for one must honor the spirits of torn-up letters, and at the airmail counter to salute the spirits of unmailed letters. I took the measure of the unbearable vanity of the West that has never ceased to privilege being over non-being, what is spoken to what is left unsaid. Then I went down to the basement where my friend, the maniac, busies himself with his electronic graffiti. Finally, his language touches me, because he talks to that part of us which insists on drawing profiles on prison walls, a piece of chalk to follow the contours of what is not, or is no longer, or is not yet, the handwriting each one of us will use to compose his own list of things that quicken the heart, to offer or to erase. In that moment, poetry will be made by everyone, and there will be emus in the zone. He writes me from Japan. He writes me from Africa. He writes that he can now summon up the look on the face of the market lady of Praia that had lasted only the length of a film frame. Will there be a last letter? Thank you.
So welcome back, everyone, to the second half of our fall read. Really quickly, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the individuals who worked so hard to put this event together. Can we give them a huge round of applause, please? And now for my shameless plug portion of the evening. If you enjoy poetry, I hope very much that you will join us next Thursday at 7 p.m. in the NCPTT, the National Center for Preservation Technology and Training, that is Lee Nelson Hall, for an evening with Jack Bedell, the Poet Laureate of Louisiana and also a Northwestern State alumnus. We're super honored to have him here, and I really hope everyone here will come. Ask your teachers for extra credit. They will hook you up. I promise. I don't promise. In either case, so I am also gonna read something. This is from my novel Down and Out. The greatest part about having a 300-page novel is that whenever you're told there's a reading, you can just Google whatever the theme is and just find replace for that part of your book, and something comes up. So this is the death portion. There are some characters in here, but I'd like to think this is a self-contained little moment. The story goes that back when this place still lacked discovering, a team of Frenchmen had come up the Mississippi and then followed the Arkansas westward until they found something resembling mountains. Because she was in love with the captain of this particular adventure, a young woman had disguised herself as a boy and joined the crew as a deckhand. Taking the name Little John or Petit Jean, her ruse lasted long enough to make it deep into newfound land before she caught a colorful fever. Discovered, she died in her lover's arms and was buried per her own request on the tallest mountain they'd found, looking down on the wide sweep of the river. Her name, her real one, is lost, and so they had to name the mountain Petit Jean. Through the years, the fame of the story grew, and folks wandered up the mountain to look down a steep cliff at the pile of stones thought to mark her grave. The WPA built a railing, framed an outlook for the river by chopping out a stand of longleaf pine and flattened a gravel parking lot. This turned out to be all that was necessary to attract the attentions of enamored youths from a 40-mile radius. Over the years, the mountain itself became more of an attraction than the origin of the name, which through the years evolved until Petty Jean rhymed with Betty Green. While some certainly vacationed there in the local teenage lexicon, going up to Petty Jean meant a certain and specific thing. So Kathy wasn't surprised when Lyle asked her up the mountain on their third date. It was strange to her, however, when they parked not at the guardrail parking lot, but next to a trailhead a few hundred yards away, and when Lyle got promptly out of the car and started walking. She followed him around a few twists and down a ledge so narrow you had to point your feet one way and your everything else another, and then they came to a hollow underneath the main lookout. She could look up and just see the railing next to where the other cars were parked, and she hoped nobody saw her down there, wherever down here was. Then she turned around to see Lyle and saw him facing a short, rusting fence, and beyond it a pile of smooth white stones. People act like the whole mountain's the place, he said, but really, this is it. She let him take her hand and lead her to a flat spot. She wiggled a little and tried to think kissable thoughts, but she saw that Lyle was still staring at the other woman. Think of it, Kathy. She was born in Paris, France, and she ended up here, 20 miles from Paris, Arkansas. She looked at the grave as it was. No headstone, no plaque, just a pile of rocks that might well have been put there by anyone, and maybe by no one. If it weren't for the fence around it and the stray beer cans that had found their way behind the fence, she might have walked right past it even if it wasn't dark. It's so sad, she said. Oh, he said, and dropped her hand and looked down at his knees. After a minute, I thought it was romantic, the way she gave everything up to be with the one she loved. But that's just it, she said, picking his hand back up. She didn't get to be with him, did she? She could never reveal herself, never until she was too contagious for a kiss goodbye. She died alone in a strange place. Just like all of us, I guess, he said. She drew back a little when he said it, but only because she felt like it was expected of her. What I meant was that we all die, and it doesn't seem like having folks with you or being at home do much to ease the situation. But even if she didn't mean it, her death meant something. She found someone worth dying for. And then without even knowing why, she had kissed him and done it with every part of her, and she felt her heart tighten up as it welcomed this new burden. It wasn't just the way that 3 hard years' work in the factory had tightened the muscles beneath his cotton shirt, or the brush of the stubble on his cheek. That she had known with others, even if she already loved the way that his back felt square and full in her arms. This was a new sensation, and it felt like it was heavy, that it could hurt, and that made it seem somehow more right. 6 months later, they were married on that very spot, while everyone looked down 60 feet from the outlook, and Father William shouted their vows down to them, and they cupped their hands and hollered back, I do's. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Catherine Abear, not Herbert, so please do not refer to the programs. Thank you. I did not know that there was a theme, so instead I'm going to read you guys 2 poems that I wrote about 2 to 3 weeks ago. They're both about the same person, and that person is somebody that's very, very special to me. So, the first one is called In Calypso's Den. You enter my room, my thoughts, my soul. Despite the day drawing close, despite the time passing all too quick, my body ached for you. It still does in these small hours. Our bodies glued together is still not close enough. My mind is drawn and quartered because of your being stretched over me, like you're trying to block out the sun. Please block out the sun. A snake curled around the quiver. I can't tell who is who anymore. An extension of self. There's no end or beginning. How did you get here? It seems all too perfect. A man right in front of me. You are like a god. You say you have to leave. I understand, but at the same time, I don't. You say you have to leave, and I let you. I have no choice. But how'll I know you'll be back? You leave me a mess that I don't know how to clean up, but I know you will be back to make a perfect mess of me once more. And then here's the second one. It does not have a name. I apologize. It doesn't feel real, does it? Your fingers ghosting across my skin, 10 little phantoms making their mark. Our eyes locked, the key thrown away. We are here in this moment. The edges are blurred, fading faces in melting frames. I want to touch you. I need to touch you. What scares me about you is how easy it was. I didn't even hesitate. Neither did you, I guess. You grasped my being. As I am looking down at you and you are looking up at me, it's a wonder I haven't disappeared. I could stay with you forever like this, a double helix of bodies, full of wonder and excitement. I can still feel your mouth, your teeth on my lips. We smile. This is how it should be. It doesn't feel real, does it? I might wake up tomorrow and forget. I don't want to forget. I never want to forget. A shocking revelation. You whisper, I hope you choose me. I don't want to say anything yet, but I think I've already chosen.
I'm Mary Lynn Mornett, the head archivist of the Cami Henry Research Center. It's on the 3rd floor of the Watson Library. We have some fabulous collections, so come by. And
I'm Sharon Wolfe. I'm the new assistant archivist at the Cami Henry Research Center on the 3rd floor of the Watson Library. And some of the cool things that our collection comprises of includes the one that we're going to share with you tonight. And it's actually, part of it's currently on display, so seriously, come up and visit us. It's really cool. In 1940, Walter S. Savage Jr. of Monroe, Louisiana, proposed to Leila Dean Frazier, also from Monroe. Shortly after the engagement, the couple was separated when Walter reported for duty in the Pacific as an ensign in the U.S. Naval Reserves, while Dean Frazier returned to Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge.
the following excerpts are from the letters between Leila Dean Frazier and Walter Savage and are located in the Dean Moore Johnson collection at NSU's Cami G. Henry Research Center. Letter posted October 5th, 1941, from Ensign Savage to Dean Frazier, LSU, Baton Rouge.
Dearest Deanie, I'm now at the Naval Air Station, Terminal Island, San Pedro, California, the jumping-off place for officers shipped to the islands. I've sailed from San Francisco with a boatload of officers. The station is a base for aircraft from fleet units operating nearby. That is, a collection of planes from the 2 or 3 each battleship and cruiser have, and there are only about 10 planes here. But I wish you were here, seeing it with me, even though I should sail in a few days. I wonder what kind of Navy wife you'd make, whether you'd enjoy lying on the sand all day every day. It's a comfortable life, but I wonder a little whether you'd get restless or ambitious or something. Love you more than ever, Walter. Letter posted November 21st, 1941, from Dean Frazier, LSU, to Ensign Savage, USS Arizona.
Dearest Walter, received your entertaining letter this morning. Really, you make my life safe, prosaic life seem terribly dull by comparison. Your descriptions are wonderful. I feel as if I've been on a cruise myself. The part about the danger I don't like, although I suppose that I can't have a great deal to do with the actual situation. Do your job as only you can do it, but don't let this one be your final task. With misgivings and quaking in my respective boots, I breezed up to see your mother last Friday afternoon. Really, Walter, I was so nervous and unconscious that I scarcely remember anything I said, and I'm sure every other word must have been the wrong one. We got on well, discussing your welfare, the Japanese situation, and all sorts of things, with an excessive amount of love. Deanie.
Letter dated December 3rd, 1941. Dean Frazier, LSU, to Ensign Savage, USS Arizona.
Dearest Walter, class is more boring than usual today, so I relieved the boredom by writing you. It seems the lesser of two evils. Somehow the strains of the alma mater call up so many memories. more so when one is just beginning to realize and grasp the awful responsibility of being a senior and preparing to leave for the comfortable protection of this dear old institution. We're depending on you, old dear. Things must be popping all around you. Just now, perhaps the next time I hear of you, you'll be on the other side of the world. I remain yours, Deanie.
4 days after Deanie sent her letter, Ensign Savage was killed along with 1,176 of his crewmates when the USS Arizona's forward ammunition magazine was hit during the December 7th attack on Pearl Harbor. The letter went unclaimed and was eventually stamped "Return to Sender." After Deanie was informed of Walter's death, she packed all her letters and newspaper clippings pertaining to him in her overnight makeup case. She completed her undergraduate degree at LSU in the spring of 1942 and entered the U.S. Navy Waves Midshipman School at Smith College, where she served in the radio section office of public relations during World War II and earned the rank of lieutenant.
Much later, Liliadina Dean Fraser Moore Johnson earned a doctorate degree in sociology from LSU in 1976 and served as a professor of sociology at Northwestern until 1988. In the early part of the 21st century, during a short visit to Natchitoches, Deanie dropped by the research center with the makeup case, opened it up, and shared with me the story of Walter. In the spirit of tonight's reading, we pass it on to you in memory and celebration of his life.
En attendant Godot, or Waiting for Godot, is a French play by Samuel Beckett. It's a philosophical tragicomedy in 2 acts. 2 characters, Vladimir, played by Madison Nora, and Estragon, played by myself, Reuben Smith, sit around and discuss various topics, featuring Ms. Christine Farrell as the tree. You learn that they are waiting for an unseen person named Godot, who just never seems to show up. That is where we pick up with them arguing about the spot to meet Godot.
Sorry, I'm short. On attend Godot.
C'est vrai. Tu es sûr que c'est ici?
Quoi?
Qu'il faut attendre.
Il a dit devant l'arbre. Tu en vois d'autres?
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
On dirait un sol.
Où sont les feuilles?
Il doit être mort.
Finis-le plus.
À moins que ce ne soit pas la saison.
Ce ne serait pas plutôt un abrisseau?
Un arbuste.
Un abrisseau.
Qu'est-ce que tu veux insinuer? Qu'on s'est trompé d'endroit?
Il devrait être là.
Il n'est pas de femme qu'il viendrait.
Et s'il ne vient pas?
Nous reviendrons demain.
Et ainsi de suite? Oh, I skipped, sorry. Et puis après demain?
Peut-être.
Et ainsi de suite?
C'est-à-dire,
Jusqu'à ce qu'il vienne?
tu es impitoyable.
Nous sommes déjà venus hier.
Ah non, là tout est go.
Qu'est-ce que nous avons fait hier?
Ce que nous avons fait hier?
Oui.
Ma foi, pour jeter le dos à toi la pompon.
Pour moi, nous étions ici.
L'endroit te semble familier?
Je ne dis pas ça.
Alors,
Ça n'empêche pas.
tout de même, c'est oublié.
Tu es sûr que c'était ce soir?
Quoi?
Qu'il fait attendre?
Il a dit samedi. Il me semble.
Après le tournant?
J'ai dû le noter.
Mais quel samedi? Et sommes-nous samedi? Ne serait-on pas plutôt dimanche? Ou lundi? Ou vendredi?
Ce n'est pas possible.
Ou jeudi?
Comment faire?
S'il s'est dérangé pour rien hier soir, tu penses bien qu'elle ne viendra pas aujourd'hui?
Mais tu dis que nous sommes venus hier soir.
J'ai pu me tromper. Taisons-nous un peu, tu veux?
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah McFarland, and this is a very optimistic poem, despite what Thomas says, about bees and pesticides and love. And it is by Tiffany Higgins, and it is called Dance, Dance While the Hive Collapses. Oh my, I lose myself. I study atlases and cirrus paths in search of traces of it, of you, of that thing, of that song I keep pressing my ear to the current of air to hear. I hear it and it disappears. It was all I wanted to do in this life, to sense that phantom tap on my nerves, to allow myself to be hit by it, attacked, aroused, until, as if someone else, I arise. I dance my part in paradise. I read that bees who've drunk imidacloprid can't waggle to indicate to others where the best nectar is located. You and I also long to map for each other the sweetest suck of sap. Workers carry far less food back to the waiting hive. They wander, wobble, can't bring their way home alive. The imidacloprid imbibed can't bring it back to the colony. Some hives collapse entirely. I desire to say that I would do it differently. I would be the bee bloomed with pesticide that still would shake out a wiggle like the finger signature on the iPad at checkout. Not quite you, but still identity. More like a wave than solid you. Yet enough to signify there, in a far-off field, spiked acanthus, trumpets of datura. In the abandoned lot on the corner of International and High, the mystic assignation, the golden throat of light. Gorge, gorge, take your fill, I would cry, before I too failed, and my bumbling body lay down to die. I'd dance my last dance to rescue the hive. Yes, I'd carry the amber whirrers out alive. Or not. Perhaps I too would succumb to the corn syrup chemical piped into our supply. I too, longing to find my way to you, would go off course. Alas, there is still melody, rhythm. Someone is streaking out in air, droning around the phonograph, which is the grooved heart valve of the black vinyl divine who is winding this universe. Someone is dancing us. Will it be you? Dance, dance as the hive collapses. Dance, dance while the colony dissembles. Dance the occasion. Dance the glorious design. Inside the honey of our lit-up veins, between the stripes and streams of these swift rays. Thank you.
My name is Rondo Keel. I'm going to read just a few short poems, 3 originals and 1 translation. And a few years ago, it's been a few years now, I wrote a whole bunch of poems, and I sort of bookended them with a prologue and an epilogue, and I thought I'd read the prologue and then a couple poems and then the epilogue. I know now why men dying of love seek a quicker end in war. The poet might just as well have written, Erona edithea. Love be now my song, O muse, Achilles' love, doomed and ruinous, that gave the Achaeans loss upon bitter loss. I know it's not trochaic. Some rhythms run deeper than meter. O muse, grant me just this, all I mean to say. First pass, Whitman's words. Love is a kelson of the creation. Or you tell me, critic, why else take the field? This is a translation of a poem by Catullus. Catullus is famous for having written so many poems about kissing. And in particular, he seems to focus on quantity. So there's huge numbers of these things, lists. This is a very short poem about that. This is the 48th poem in his collection. We have about 114 poems from Catullus. If granted leave to kiss your honeyed eyes up to my heart's desire, I would give 300,000. But I would not be satisfied, nor yet if my lips should harvest a light touch upon your eyes so many times as there are ears of rustling wheat dense on the plain. Oh, I have a couple more. Okay, yeah, this is also this is an original again. Like the brook in the garden of graces, bubbling grace notes of sound float up, spreading round. From the light wellspring of water source, fountain brings your voice. I drink. To understand this poem or to enjoy it on one reading or hearing, you have to know the premises that it's Judgment Day, right? It's the apocalypse. But instead of worrying about how many sins we have or how horrified we are, we're trying to figure out what to wear. How shall we dress? What does one wear to the end of time? When the moon runs red in the bruised sky. If Bosch and Blackwell could pair to show the right way to dress when the world's laid low, what would they recommend we know? Girls, coordinate, please, for choices abound. Hate to meet the Antichrist in duplicate gowns. Apocalypse accessories call for some thought. That brooch is in, that clutch is not. You'll regret the stole if things get hot. Guys, sweats and a tee might be your norm, but Armageddon weather could prove warm. Jacket optional in heaven, they say. Best leave it behind so you could go either way. Beelzebub or casual day. Lest judgment hour catch you napping, better start now on all your packing. The book of life says where you go, but carry your Dante, because you never know. Beatrice above or Virgil below. Okay, so then the epilogue. Puppeteer moves, a marionette dances. Beyond theater walls lies humming, pulsing life. Poet writes, a word dances. Beyond the page lies all he means to say.
My name is Sadim El Nahas. I'm an instructor with the Department of English. When I found out about the theme for this year's read, I thought, oh my God, I don't have anything happy or uplifting. And so I found someone else's work to share with you, someone whose work makes me happy. And then Una asked me if I would read a poem in Arabic, and I thought, oh my God, now I have to find something that's both happy and Arabic. And so I searched and I finally found one. And so I have two poems to read today, one that makes me happy and one to make Una happy. So I'll start with the English, which it's an English translation of a Persian poem by a poet named Hafiz, and he's a medieval Persian Sufi poet. And then I'll read the Arabic, and it comes with a translation, so yay. The Hafiz poem is titled, Why Just Ask the Donkey? Why just ask the donkey in me to speak to the donkey in you? When I have so many other beautiful animals and brilliant colored birds inside that are all longing to say something wonderful and exciting to your heart. Let's open all the locked doors upon our eyes that keep us from knowing the intelligence that begets love and a more lively and satisfying conversation with the friend. Let's turn loose our golden falcons so that they can meet in the sky where our spirits belong, necking like two hot kids. Let's hold hands and get drunk near the sun and sing sweet songs to God until he joins us with a few notes from his own sublime lute and drum. If you have a better idea of how to pass a lonely night after your glands may have performed all their little magic, then speak up, sweethearts, speak up, for Hafiz and all the world will listen. Why just bring your donkey to me, asking for stale hay and a boring conference with the idiot in regards to this precious matter, such a precious matter as love, when I have so many other divine animals and brilliant colored birds inside that are all longing to so sweetly greet you? Okay, the Arabic poem is actually a poem that was written by a Persian guy in Arabic. He's also a medievalist. And I found at our library database both the Arabic poem and the English translation. So I'll start with the Arabic. حدا الحادي صباحا بهواكم فأتينا، صدنا عنكم ظباء حسدونا فأبينا، وتلاقينا ملاحا في فناكم خفرات، فتعاشقنا بغنج فسبونا وسبينا. عذل العاذل يوما عن هواكم ناصحية، أن يخافوا عن هواكم فسمعنا وعصينا، ورأيناكم بدورا في سماوات المعالي، فاستترنا كنجوم بهواكم واهتدينا. بدرنا مثل خطيب أمنا في يوم عيد، فاصطفينا حول بدر في صلاة اقتدينا. فدهشنا من جمال يوسف ثم أفقنا، فإذا كاسات راح كدماء بيدينا. فبلا فم شربنا وبلا روح سكرنا، وبلا رأس فخرنا وبلا رجل سرينا. فبلا أنف شممنا وبلا عقل فهمنا، وبلا شدق ضحكنا وبلا عين بكينا. نور الله رمانا، حازنا الوصل أمانا، وسقى الله مكانا بحبيب التقينا. وشربنا من مدام سكر ذات قوام، في قعود وقيام فظهرنا واختفينا. فهززنا غصن مجد فنثرنا ثمر وجد، فإذا نحن سكارى فطفقنا واجتبينا. The poem is titled, You Sang of Love, So We Came. This morning you sang of love, so we came. Jealous wild bucks blocked our way, but we came. The maidens in your court, so shy, they made sweet love. They stole our hearts, we did the same. We felt desire. Our friends warned us to be afraid of love. We heard, but felt no shame. Like stars, we saw your full moon in the sky, then hid ourselves behind your light. We came. Moon, our guide, on that holy day you said the prayer. In lines behind we did the same. Stunned by the beauty of Joseph, I woke. My hands were full, blood red wine in 2 cups. Without a mouth I drank, with no soul I found bliss. With no head I was proud, no feet I walked. Without a nose I smelled perfume. With no mind, suddenly I understood. Then with no mouth I laughed. No eyes I cried, God bless the place I found my beloved. When he lit the flash of our reunion, where he watered that garden as we watched, finding peace and joy in our communion. Where we stood, then sat, gulped strong wine till we disappeared. We came back all confusion. That day we pulled down a branch of glory, spilled seeds of love, ecstasy's diffusion. We got so drunk, we won a victory. We found ourselves here among God's chosen. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dr. Rebecca Majeski. I'm with the English department. I've brought 2 of my poems to share, and they're from a larger group of poems I'm working on, and they're all united around the idea that each poem somehow answers some large question of why. Because I make myself new each day. My face is a mountain town. The nose is the highest peak, and the mouth a little lake where swimmers cool their feet. My face is a kind of shirt my skull wears. My ears are my favorite part. They make awkward sleeves. My face sometimes wears glasses 2 round windows that focus me forward, but leave out the commotion at the sides. My face remembers being a smaller face, being born from the cozy darkness of my mother into New York City's bright doom. My face likes to study other faces, look for clues that grow along the eyes and forehead of the kind of life that lives inside. My face likes being silent, feeling cool autumn run along, whispering across this looseness of skin, this quilt of pores. My face stares straight into September's green, waiting for the leaves to grow orange in their yearly wisdom. My face each night feels its softness in pillows and tethers in time to the other faces spread along other pillows in their own dark countries, trekking toward new light. My face imagines what it might be like as a foot, an elbow, a breast, and what she might see from those different apartments. My face is a kind of movie screen that plays the same films over and over. Oh, one more. Because I so often feel like an alien. My heart is an octopus that grabs things it shouldn't. She stays tight to herself, keeps house nestled in by the lungs, clearing spaces inside the many tidy rooms in her mansion of salt and blood and sea. Or, my heart is a canary singing melodies that peek out the tiny theater of my rib cage. Or, she's a dinosaur, the last one left, thumping wild feet across the prairie in my chest and chewing autumn leaves till they crumble and fall again into her stomach's small world. Or, my heart is an egg, smooth, unborn, hiding an animal truth inside. I trust it knows when to become a lizard or a bird, how many warm days of waiting. Or, my heart wants to be a little bicycle or bundle of rabbits, all motion and pulse, all turning and breeding, rolling secret roads along the hillside. Or, my heart is filled with geese, sending raucous bleating above a muscled earth. Or, my heart is a cabinet of rooms where I store things I want to remember. The lilacs I picked as a girl, a wild pig bolting through the yard, its hooves on the ground like a drum, the summer's first surge of lightning yelling its hot language into the sky. And my heart has its own kind of sky where it draws fish and bears on the ceiling, where it connects the stories between stars, stories old imaginations use to climb out of their deaths into this drawing, to be alive again in this ink that flows from this tidiness, from this need to hold things whole.
Hi there, I'm Eric Jarvis. I am actually the person who wrote the theme title, and you'll see from my choice that I don't think that lifting spirits need be about making people happy. I think there are lots of different ways that we can lift spirits. I'm going to read a poem by Robert Southey, who's a British poet. This is called To Horror, and it was written in 1791, and it's part of what we often call the graveyard school of poetry that spread throughout the 18th century in Britain, and is an important influence, I would say, on Gothic aesthetics and the rise of the Gothic novel. To Horror. Dark horror, hear my call. Stern genius, hear from thy retreat on some old sepulchre's moss-cankered seat, beneath the abbey's ivied wall that trembles o'er its shade, there wrapped in midnight gloom, alone, thou lovest to lie and hear the roar of waters near, and listen to the deep, dull groan of some perturbed sprite born fitful on the heavy gales of night. Or, whether o'er some wide waste hill thou seest the traveler stray, bewildered on his lonely way, when loud and keen and chill the evening winds of winter blow, drifting deep the dismal snow. Or if thou followest now on Greenland's shore, with all thy terrors on the lonely way of some wrecked mariner, where to the roar of herded bears the floating ice hills round return their echoing sound, and by the dim, drear boreal light givest half his dangers to the wretch's sight. Or if thy fury form, when o'er the midnight deep the dark-winged tempests sweep, beholds from some high cliff the increasing storm, watching with strange delight, as the black billows to the thunder rave, when by the lightning's light thou seest the tall ship sink beneath the wave. Bear me in spirit, where the field of fight scatters contagion on the tainted gale, when to the moon's faint beam on many a carcass shine the dews of night, and a dead silence stills the vale, save when at times is heard the glutted raven's scream. Where some wrecked army from the conqueror's might speed their disastrous flight with thee, fierce genius, let me trace their way and hear at times the deep heart groan of some poor sufferer left to die alone, and we will pause where on the wild the mother to her breast on the heaped snows reclining clasps her child, not to be pitied now, for both are now at rest. Black horror, speed we to the bed of death, where one who wide and far hath sent abroad the myriad plagues of war struggles with his last breath, then to his wildly starting eyes the specters of the slaughtered rise, then on his frenzied ear there calls for vengeance, and the demons yell in one heart maddening chorus swell. Cold on his brow convulsing stands the dew, and night eternal darkness on his view. Horror, I call thee yet once more, bear me to that accursed shore, where on the stake the Negro rise. Assume thy sacred terrors then, dispense the gales of pestilence, arouse the oppressed, teach them to know their power, lead them to vengeance, and in that dread hour, when ruin ranges wide, I will behold and smile by mercy's side. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Patricia Brown. I usually work in Watson Library, but I'm also teaching some classes in Leesville, and I want to thank one of my students for coming all the way to hear this reading. Thank you. Tonight I'll be reading a poem by Bern Mulvey. It was published in 2005 in a little magazine called Fine Madness. It's about paper, geometry, blood, and hope. And it's not quite successful as poetry, I don't think, but it's appropriate for tonight because it was inspired by the Japanese girl who also brought the origami cranes to the West and made them popular. She was poisoned by radiation in Hiroshima when the U.S. dropped the bomb on August 6, 1945. At the end of this poem, there's a dedication to Sadako Sasaki. At the beginning of the poem are a couple of images of radiation symptoms. Okay. So this is a poem in several voices. How to make cranes. 1. Sadako's best friend told her of a Japanese legend that anyone who folds 1,000 paper cranes is granted one wish. She hoped the gods would grant her a wish to get well. Take a square piece of paper, colored on one side, fold it in half 4 different ways. Now, fold along all 4 corners at once. Nothing like her. These pin-spotted hands, these thin calves with their red flowers, this mouth filling with brass. 2. Next, fold 2 edges in to form a cone shape on top, and do the same on the other side. Idea, intent, fluid constructs. The object is place. An absolute background, maker and viewer meet. Art, what grows from their encounter. Fancy, the handshake they share. Surely this is the place where I, in my turn, have seen the one who sees me. 3. Pull the bottom corner up, top layer only. Above the top corner, fold along the creases you made in step 2 until the cones touch. Rikyu was watching his son Shoan as he swept and watered the garden path. Not clean enough, said Rikyu when Shoan had finished. After another weary hour, the son turned to Rikyu. Father, there's nothing more to be done. The steps have been washed for the 3rd time. The stone lanterns and the trees are well sprinkled with water. The moss and lichens are shining. Not a twig, not a leaf have I left on the ground. Chided Rikyu. Young fool, that is not the way a garden path should be swept. Saying this, he stepped into the garden, shook a tree, and scattered over the path gold and crimson leaves, scraps of the brocade of autumn. 4. Do the same on the other side. The top flaps are the wings, and the bottom are the neck and the tail. Fold the 2 edges in to make the neck and the tail thinner. Each day begins and ends with cleaning. Clothes, bedding are washed, hung to dry, doors open to the sky, brooms busy, their rasp on the tatami. Evening, you purify the body, rinse before and after the hot bath. Heat expels the poison, says Mother, as you wipe your eyes and, with her help, rise. Do the same on the other side. Now do the same in the back. Hint: the greater the exactness of each line, the more beautiful the finished work. Hint: a few simple creases evoke the animal. Hint: modify the sequence slightly and an entirely new beast appears. 6. Fold up the neck and tail as far as you can, then fold the head down. Sharpening the folds, she cuts herself. The thumb's thin blood, released, urgent, takes shape before her. I have been waiting. I am filled with words. But what's there to say? Who will bring back to me the months that are gone? 7. Pull the neck and tail out a little bit so that they're not actually vertical. Pull the head up and out so it's not parallel to the neck. Childhood acute lymphoblastic leukemia, ALL, is a cancer of the blood and bone marrow. With this cancer, too many stem cells develop into a type of white blood cell called lymphocytes, also known as leukemic cells. There are 3 types of lymphocytes. B lymphocytes that help make antibodies to help fight infection, T lymphocytes that help B lymphocytes make the antibodies that fight infection, natural killer cells that attack cancer cells and viruses. In ALL, the lymphocytes are not able to fight infection. Also, as the number of lymphocytes increases, the number of healthy white blood cells, red blood cells, and platelets decreases. Before modern treatment methods, the typical prognosis was poor, with the cancer progressing rapidly to systemic infection, anemia, internal and external hemorrhages, and eventually death. The primary accepted non-genetic risk factors for ALL are prenatal exposure to X-rays, and postnatal exposure to high doses of radiation. 8. Pull the wings straight from the body so that the body inflates. If that doesn't work, blow through the hole in the underside. Each in its paper shell, 1,000 breaths. Bird, fly back to your mountain. They are bending their bows. For SS 1943 to 1955.
I'm Heather Salter-Drom, and this is called What Happens to Grade Grubbers. Grade Grubbers, yelled the professor. She was in her kitchen, cursing and shaking her fists at her laptop. Usually the professor loved her job and her students. But at this moment, at the 11th hour before final grades were due, she was tired and stressed. And like her students, she just wanted to get the summer started. "What's a grade grubber?" asked Angelica from across the table. "A grade grubber is a student who tells her professor, 'I know I have a 74 in the class, but I really want an A. I need an A to keep my scholarship.'" Then suddenly, the professor had an epiphany. "Oh my goddess, I am being punished. I was a grade grubber when I was a student. A certain number of years ago, I would tell my professors, 'You gave me a 98 on this essay. Why didn't I get 100? This must be purgatory.'" With a defeated sigh, the professor returned to her email checking and final essay grading, while Angelica returned to her cereal eating and Facebook stalking. A few minutes later, the professor was cursing and shouting again. "Can I do a bonus assignment?" she said in a mocking whine. "No, you cannot." She gulped down the rest of her lukewarm tea and slammed the cup down on the table. Angelica looked up from her phone. "You could use a break." "I'm in hell or purgatory or something. We're dead and I'm being punished, right?" "No," Angelica responded. "I'm not dead. I'm not even here. I'm just a projection of your imagination that you created to keep yourself from being lonely. Are you lonely?" "No," said the professor. "Good, it's working," concluded Angelica. And this is when we conclude our fall read. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you, readers. Una and I would like to thank some very important people who helped us put this together. Thank you, David Antilli, Kenneth Burns, Christine Farrell, Leslie Grusbeck, Rebecca Boone, KNWD, Charlene LeBrun, Eric Jarvis, and Scarlett Vasquez. Thank you, those of you who brought refreshments. We really appreciate it. And once again, thank you all for being here, and we hope your spirits are lifted.